Welcome everybody to episode 45 of the Blood Saint Beers podcast. We're back this week talking about AGDQ submissions. They are up and live. Not over with yet. Still an ongoing process. We got some Star Wars news to talk about. WoW Classic dropped. It's kind of taken over
the gaming world or something.
It's taken the Twitches and the mixers by force.
It hasn't taken Mixer, unfortunately, but we'll get to that.
But how are you doing this week, Saint? No, you've dived a bit into WoW Classic, which we'll get into, but other than that,
yes,
getting ready for your big move.
This is the last time you'll see this background, so savor it.
Yeah.
Actually, you're probably gonna see. So I'm in my living room right now. Like that's just where I put my computer. But I'll be in a bedroom, and it'll be a lot tighter, and the wall will I have so much art in my entire art. They're posters. So many posters in my entire apartment. They're probably all going to be behind me.
Nice.
I won't have anywhere else to put them. But looking forward to it.
You know where I put my posters? Down on the floor over here because I am too lazy to hang them up.
Yeah, need to frame them or some shit. I have actually so many frames. I don't know how I got them.
I mean, these are all framed. They're ready to go. I don't have any holes in the wall. I don't have like nails sticking out or anything.
Hole in the wall.
So I don't.
You just gotta get a hammer and a nail.
Yeah, I don't. That's too much work. So it's like I'm trying to cover up this bright green wall that used to be my green screen. It's like I want to cover this up so it's not so shiny and bright. But
yeah, you have a green wall.
Yeah.
Isn't there like a? Is there like a material you could paint your wall to make it not shiny?
I mean, there's like specific chroma green that you can paint, and there's probably some you can get that are less shiny paints. But I did this back in high school, like before I even knew about Twitch. I was like, I want a dark green room because I just really like dark green back then. I've never painted it since, so it's like, oh, I guess it kind of works for green screen. I actually have a dedicated green screen, but it takes up more than my entire wall. So if I set it up, it's like squished together and it's wrinkly, and that makes it really hard to chroma key out. All that good stuff. So I tried this for a while, and it does work, but I kind of just got past using green screens.
Yeah. You should put enough posters. You should put enough pictures on your wall to where it takes away the shininess, so you can green screen it, and you just have floating pictures behind you. That's the play.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
There we go.
But how have you been this past week, BT? Even though I talk to you every day.
Yeah, extremely fatigued. Like I've been insomnia's hit pretty hard. Like trying to sleep, just like sitting in bed or laying in bed rather. Just be like, yeah, so much WoW I'm just thinking about all the time. It's like, it's been like the past 2 weeks. Like I'll try to go to sleep. It'll take forever, and then I'll sleep for like 3 to 5 hours at most, and wake back up. And it's like
story of my life, dude.
It's not really the time I stream, so I don't want to hop on and stream because people that are regulars will miss it because of time differences and whatnot. So it's like I don't want to jump into my stuff. So maybe I did Rocksmith on Sunday for a couple hours because I went to sleep at like 3. I was like, oh boy, I'm going to take off early the night before on Saturday because I'm a little tired and I want to get some more sleep. So I'll go to sleep at 3, which is unusual for me, instead of like 9 a.m. or something stupid. And then I'll wake up at like 3, and I'll get like 12 hours of rest. I'll feel great.
Jesus Christ.
But then I woke up at 8, and I was like, God damn it, I want to sleep, and I can't go back. So it's like, I'll just play some Rocksmith for a bit. And then I took a nap after that and streamed that night.
And it's just all fucked up from there.
Yeah. So
the whole sleep schedule.
Been looking to more stuff. Also, I think the main reason it's kind of picked up is because I haven't worked out since QuakeCon. So it's been a month of just like not doing any physical exercise. And I think that's really taken a toll. So it's like trying to do some more workouts throughout the day, just like small stuff to work back into it, and then like meditation type stuff, which for me is extremely hard. But it's like I'm trying to look into that.
Dude, meditation is so hard. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like you think it's just sitting and thinking, and
it's the opposite of thinking.
Yeah, it's like you just clear your mind of all things. That's impossible for me. Like you have to practice it. But when it works, and it's very good. Yeah, that actually that surprises me that you're doing some meditation stuff, which is really good.
Well, it's one of those things. Like I kind of just did it naturally. Like when I tried to sleep, that was kind of the routine I've always gone back to, just like focus on breathing If your mind starts to wander, just go back to focusing on breathing in, breathing out to kind of just clear your mind. And then like I just have a lot of YouTube recommended stuff because I watch random junk on YouTube.
But also I have
YouTube. It was like, here are 10 reasons you may not know why meditation would help. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll watch it. I got nothing else to watch. And I was like, being in the state I'm in, it's like that kind of would help me if, you know, these studies and stuff are accurate. Like maybe I'll give it a try. So I've been trying to do that. I said Sunday I streamed Rocksmith, been trying to get back into that. Just found a new guitarist I like. If you guys are watching live and you're here before, Jason Richardson was the music playing. I saw a lot of his like tutorial stuff that he's done and like how to play arpeggios without borrowing the chords, and they sound better, and I've been practicing that. And it's like just trying to improve little things here and there throughout my life to make things better instead of one big step forward. It's like I'm just gonna take a lot of little baby steps here and there.
I mean, that's everything. It's baby steps, especially working out. Like you don't need to be doing 300-pound squats. It's like if you can't do squats with weights, that's fine. Just do squats.
Yeah,
everything's baby steps. And meditation and yoga, those are the two things that I've done in the past that have only been amazing, but for some reason I just forget to keep up with it. So I might do that.
You have to definitely make time for it. It's like, all right, I gotta now spend 30 minutes to an hour just sitting here,
just
meditating.
Take some time.
You have to find the time of the day to do that when you're working and trying to figure out what you want to eat and what queue you want to wait in for WoW Classic servers.
Which server should I wait in? God, everyone's playing on a different goddamn server. Yeah, even like 10 or 20 minutes. Like, just chill out, sit on your couch, focus on like. I'm not gonna do like a tutorial. I'm not a professional meditator, but like just focus on like sounds coming into your ears or like the feeling of the couch or something. Like it's as simple as that. Literally, like don't think about everything. Just be like, what do my clothes feel like right now?
Well, you just
interesting.
From the methods I've learned about, the idea is more so like you focus on whatever, like you said, the sound. Like just pick one thing. And when you notice your mind starts to wander to a different topic, whether it's thinking about the future or the past or something else around you, you snap back. You're like, all right, I need to focus on this again, and just keep focusing on that one thing in particular.
Blair is on point. This is gonna become an ASMR.
No. ASMR. No.
I've been in WoW Classic queue for 6 hours. And that's Is that a segue? I don't even know.
So WoW Classic servers? Going? Sure.
Speaking of small steps to do something, bring it all the way back to a time in World of Warcraft where progression was slow and pieces of gear were so important every time you upgraded to a time where things were simpler. I've been playing a lot of
Jim Beam.
A lot of regret. I've been playing a lot of Jim Beam, and WoW Classic came out. It's no news for anyone at this point. I mean,
no,
literally every gaming community I'm aware of is all asking each other well, not every person, but every community I've seen this in. Everyone's like, "What are you rolling on? Where are people going? What's happening?" And WoW Classic came out. It was kind of announced in 2015, I want to say 2014, 2015, after Blizzard openly mocked the idea of legacy servers in 2013, saying you think you want it, but you don't. And then fast forward 7 years later. Wait, what's 2019 minus 2013? 6 years later. Math. And you got 1.1 million people watching on Twitch. Probably because
that was the most surprising thing.
I don't think Blizzard expected that.
No.
I knew it was going to be hype. I don't think anyone saw it being that big.
Yeah, it's like, all right, I can understand a lot of people want to play WoW and try WoW Classic, and the nostalgia's there and everything. I forgot that WoW's numbers were quite that big. I was like, okay, 1 million people would want to play. Sure, makes sense.
Oh yeah,
to watch it. Oh my god! I mean, people were stuck in queues. They're like, I want to just watch somebody play it.
People are still stuck in queues.
Well, there's still right now a day later, like over 300,000 people watching WoW on Twitch right now. It is absurd. I tried clicking on a
Yeah.
few different channels. I was like, even if I was like kind of into WoW or these streamers, it's like these streams are the epitome of what I
Boring.
want to watch in a stream. Like it's boring. It's just like they're not interacting with chat. It's like I don't know why people. There's not hype moments.
It's
There's not interaction between the people playing. There's like, all right, share that quest with me. Cool, let's go over here. It's not like they're riffing with each
yeah.
other and making jokes and stuff. It's like,
I guess what you're kind of saying is kind of hitting on that. There's like this kind of split on how people see WoW Classic. It's like everyone's hype about it, or everyone's like, why is everyone so hype about it? It's not like the most revolutionary thing, or it's not super exciting. And it's an anomaly because I think it is half nostalgia. I think that is a big thing because it is the biggest MMO of all time. It has been around for 15 plus years. It's something that's so many people have at least delved into at some point. So nostalgia is a huge part of it for sure. Yeah. But I do think there is credibility to the actual gameplay of it, and I'll go into why I think that.
and I just want to say, it's like,
WoW.
I understand the
Oh, go
hype
ahead.
for the game. You know, if
Yeah.
people are into playing it, fine. It's not for me, but I can see why people would be hyped about it. It's just like, I don't
But the
understand.
streams are boring as shit.
I don't understand why so many people are watching streams, even if it's like, oh, my favorite streamer is playing WoW. It's like, usually if someone you follow is like playing a game that you don't care to watch or is like boring, like they just won't watch them. I've seen numbers for different streamers drop down, but a lot of them are still hitting their consistent numbers and or more. I'm just like, whoa, what is happening here? But yeah, you can go into the gameplay if you want.
No, you're good. I mean, I don't watch streams, so to be honest, I can't tell you. I think it's just like vicariously experiencing it for the first time or again through their favorite streamer. That's probably what it is. Like I think there are still a lot of people that are not going to play WoW Classic. Like I do see a lot of vocal people saying, I played vanilla, I am excited it's coming out, I am not going to play it. But there are probably still a lot of people saying, oh well, my streamer's playing it, or this streamer's playing it.
Yeah.
So I'll watch them and I'll kind of experience it through them, so I don't have to pay $15 to play for 4 hours and be like, oh right, this was way slower and little bit
and I can
more
guide them
boring.
through the best builds because that stuff's been knowledgeable forever.
Yeah, and I can fucking type up a storm in chat because all my knowledge, which a lot of people have. But yeah, it is weird. Asmongold had 500,000 viewers at the beginning of it. He doesn't have that, like they petered off. But
I mean, I checked in like last night at like 4 a.m. and he was still sitting around 200,000 or so.
But still
doing stuff. Yeah, that's
insane. Like what the fuck? Yeah, I don't think Blizzard anticipated.
I don't think anybody did.
It like it started big, but I actually think it got like the player base got bigger as launch went on. I don't think it like slowed down at any point. I think people started watching, and I've seen a lot of people say like, shit, I kind of want to play again. And you don't have to buy the game. You just have to pay for a WoW sub and you have WoW Classic.
I was going to say like, that, and they noticed like, hey, my friends are playing WoW Classic, or the streamers I know are playing WoW Classic, so, you know, maybe I can play with them, or I don't know if guilds are in this. I'm sure they are, and clans and stuff.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Like,
yeah, I mean, my IRL friends, I told them, like, one of my friends came to pick up a package because I went to go grab a package while he was on vacation from his door. And I was like, yeah, I'm streaming WoW Classic. It just launched today. And he's like, oh, shit. Huh. And he, like, later on, he's like, I just subscribed. I'm playing. What server are you on? I was like, shit.
Yeah, I think seeing like either a friend playing or a streamer playing is like, if they were on the fence, like I don't really know if I want to. Maybe if it sticks around for long enough. But as soon as I see other people playing, they're like, all right, well now I have to play because I don't want to be the one person out.
It is the hype train. It actually is the hype train. That being said, I do think it's overhyped a little bit because I don't think even like 80% of the people are going to stick around more than a few weeks. But the gameplay, yeah, Blair in chat, the gameplay is genuinely like rewarding and fun because for those who don't play WoW, and this is my opinion, but current WoW is very RNG heavy, you're just showered in epics all the time for just doing nothing, just sitting around. You do like a daily quest. Every class feels super samey. Like you could play any DPS class in current WoW, and it kind of doesn't matter. It just kind of depends on kind of your personal preference. Some tanks are better than others, but you could just tank as whoever. It feels very kind of watered down, and you could like there's not much difference in which class you pick. But in vanilla WoW, like going all the way back, every class does feel like an RPG class. And my example I always go to is what I played in vanilla, which is rogue. When you're a rogue, you have certain skills. Rogue's the only class that can stealth, well, other than druid, and people can use potions of invisibility, which is like another cool RPG thing. Like anyone can stealth if they just buy potions. But rogues, they have to craft their own poisons to put on their weapons, so they have their entire own crafting profession just for rogues. Which is they got rid of that as WoW went on. Rogues have to buy items to use some of their really good abilities, like vanishing instantly in combat. And it's just like these little things. Druids get tree formed to turn you into a tree to heal better. Druids get their own teleport to go to a certain place in the world called the Moonglade. They're the only class that gets to teleport to a druid fucking dreamland, and that they just get some quests there. But it's just like there are little RPG elements in original WoW that just felt really neat that just kind of got weeded out over time. And in current WoW, everything feels samey. It doesn't really matter what you play almost. So I think that part is very fun for some people, is they kind of feel like their character has this identity, and upgrades and gear feel a lot more impactful too, because when you get a green, you're like, holy shit, I just found a green. That's crazy. Like just like an uncommon. But in current WoW, it's just like you always have epic items and legendaries are dropping everywhere. And it's just like, okay, none of this really matters. I'll just look up like what's the optimal thing to have, and I'll probably get it. But in vanilla WoW, it's like if I pull more than one mob, I might die. And all my shit is grays or whites, and I might have one green item. In modern WoW, it's like I'm gonna pull 20 mobs because I won't die. And it's just different. It's just different. It feels more like everything that you're doing really matters, like these tiny things, and it makes the really cool stuff a lot cooler. That's the other half. There's nostalgia, then there's like it's actually like a pretty fun RPG MMO.
I mean,
like
WoW got
originally
popular and stayed popular for a reason, right? It's like,
yeah,
it's still going to be there. It's like maybe there's not the same quality of life options that were introduced later. There's also downsides.
Definitely a thing in vanilla WoW. Quality of life shit is gone.
Yeah.
Unless you have add-ons, which people are developing. But yeah, sure. There's a lot of stuff. The opposite of what I just said. I just made it sound like it's the most amazing thing ever. There is a lot of stuff where you're like, oh man, yeah, that's the way it was back then. But I kind of see that stuff, like just like UI options that you're like, oh, they did fix that and that could be better. But I look at that, I'm like, but it's not going to change. So I guess I'm just dealing with it. It's kind of like playing Melee competitively. It's like, well, wobbling's in the game, but it's not going away. So I might as well get used to it. And you kind of that like settling down and knowing what you're getting into is kind of comforting, even if some things are bad with vanilla WoW. Like I'm able to look past those flaws, which are clearly there. And yeah. What do you think, BT, of all this? Because I've played WoW since beta vanilla. I mean, so I can go on romantic about it all day.
MMOs, what I've talked about, I played RuneScape for years on years, and it's like that is the one appealing thing about WoW. If I was going to get into it, it's like having different classes and characters, because RuneScape, it's everyone's the same character, and it just kind of depends on how you play the game. Like I want to level up.
Level up your skills.
I want to level up, my melee skills and go into like combat or PvP, or I could be a skiller and just grind away fishing all day. It's like depends on how you want to play it. Whereas with WoW, you have the different classes, so it's like you have to play the game differently. Like it's depending on your class, right? It's like, so if you're a druid, absolutely. You have to play it, more of this way than someone who's a knight or whatever. It's like that's the appealing part. Like, oh, so if I started different characters, I'd have different experience, because if you playing RuneScape, it's like, all right, I'm gonna start a different character, but I'm gonna play it the same way. So it's like I'm gonna follow the same steps, but maybe know what I'm doing more. And it's like that's not really appealing, ever.
Yeah.
But it's like RuneScape did the same thing with old school RuneScape when they brought that back. Of like, oh, this is the classic version, and then a lot of those quality of life options aren't there, but people still love it because it's the older version, and it's arguably more popular than the current RuneScape stuff.
That's the best comparison to WoW Classic actually is OSRS.
Yeah,
It's like it's grindy and like the UI and quality of life stuff isn't there, but like
that's what got people into those games originally.
Yeah,
So it's
that
gonna
simplicity, that simplicity and shit or whatever is like what people want. Like just something to do while you're grinding mindlessly, or maybe you're like watching a podcast, or maybe you're watching Blood Saint Beers and you're just grinding away.
This episode the whole time. It's on loop.
You're avenging Mancrick's wife, killing Quillboars and the Barons, you know?
Yeah.
BT knows that reference.
I know all those things.
That's an infamous early horde quest that takes not dozens of hours. It takes hours.
So it's like the quest in RuneScape, one small favor. That's what you're saying.
That's right.
Shout outs to people that did that quest. Fuck that thing.
I have not played.
It's a fetch quest that every step in the quest is another fetch quest for a different character across the map. So you're just running across the map in an endless fetch quest, and then you do it all in reverse, turning in all the stuff. It's awful.
Oh my god. There's a quest kind of like that in WoW, in Burning Crusade, which is the first expansion, called Nessingwary's Expedition, which is like you kill every type of animal and you need certain things from every animal. I could be misremembering that, but
yeah.
Is the map in RuneScape like you're talking about the world, right?
Yes.
Okay. I've never played. Is there like one continent in RuneScape, or how does that work out?
Sort of. I mean, there's like one world map, right? There's dungeons and stuff you can go into, and like there's. It's kind of like one big connected part, but then there's some smaller islands that you can go to, but it's like all in one connected plane.
Gotcha.
Everything's very close together. Like, and if you play current RuneScape, like teleporting to wherever you need to go is, you have 1,000 different options for whatever you need. Like like way back in the day, you'd have to like run everywhere, unless you leveled up your magic and had the proper equipment to teleport. But nowadays it's like, oh, you want to go over there? Boop, there you go, easy peasy.
That's nice. That's super nice.
Yeah. But it takes away that grinding, like, oh, back in I had to run over there and all the experiences I had getting from here to there and the trouble and the monsters I met. It's like now you just warp and you don't even think about it. But
yeah, that's another thing with WoW too. It's like vanilla classic people are realizing, oh, you had to run a lot.
Yeah.
Like you have a Hearthstone, which takes you back to wherever you set your home point, but that's a 1 hour cooldown. So that only happens, not that much. Like I usually use my Hearthstone whenever I log off or whatever. But yeah, you don't get your mount to level 40, which is over a month of gameplay for most casual players. So you're slowly running for a lot of people, unless you're a class like a druid or a shaman who gets to turn into a certain
shaman?
Shaman?
I've always said shaman. I've never heard.
I don't know how to. I've said literally all forms of it because I don't know what the fuck it is.
Change it every
shaman,
time.
shaman.
Seamus.
Yeah, famous Seamus. If you roll a famous Seamus, you get Ghost Wolf form, which is slightly faster. If you're a druid, you get travel form, which is a cheetah. So that's one of those things. If you roll one of those classes, you're like, all right, I could play a warrior and I'm gonna be a really good tank, but like I'm gonna die if I pull too many mobs at a time because I have no heals other than like bandaging myself. Things are gonna be like generally pretty terrible for leveling. Or I could roll a druid or a shaman. I can heal myself. I'll have faster traveling, but I won't have like these other things. So like what you were touching on with RuneScape is like you are the same character, but you have all these skills. In WoW, whatever class you are, there is a way you play the game. It is so different per class. And that stuff is like super cool to me and to a lot of people. Also, Blair, yeah, I was wrong on the Nesingwary thing. The Nesingwary expedition was in vanilla in Stranglethorn. Thank you, Blair, in chat.
So one question, I think I already know the answer, but just for clarification, because I've seen it pop up
Sure.
multiple times. Multi-boxing, is that having multiple logins going at the same time?
Yeah, I don't know if you can multi-box in WoW Classic.
Well, Blair says she's 8-way multi-boxing right now. So there you go.
I'm reporting you, Blair. You cheater. Are you the one taking all of the mobs?
I kind of figured that's what it was, just from context, but I've never heard that term, which I guess is more specific to WoW.
It's for like a lot of MMOs, like Star Wars Galaxy's emulator, which
I've just never heard it called multi-boxing until now.
So yeah, that's common, like colloquial, whatever. People multi-box in Star Wars Galaxy's emulator, which I was playing not too long ago. Like people multi-box fucking like so many different people. They'll be like taking on like raid mobs with 20 tunes or something.
Jesus.
Yeah, it happens, especially on private servers. One thing to note about WoW Classic is it's not completely the same as vanilla WoW, because vanilla WoW of Warcraft. Vanilla WoW was on a different like framework. It was like a different program than what WoW currently is now because of BattleNet integration or whatever. Like the options menu would have looked completely different than it does now. And there are a couple things that I saw while I was playing where I was like, this definitely wasn't in vanilla. Like just like camera options, like very subtle things. And I was like, okay, all right, I'll accept that it's not completely hashtag no changes. But it is like actually 98% vanilla. And I've played on private servers before. It feels exactly the same.
Wow.
Almost exactly the same. I'm not playing in 4x3 on a tube monitor. That's the like only crux of the whole thing.
I think I mentioned this in your stream last night. Maybe it's yours, maybe someone else's. But I'm genuinely surprised they don't have a mobile version of WoW, because like coming from RuneScape, that's a pretty big deal going on. Is getting RuneScape on mobile. You know, not having to use TeamViewer or some other remote desktop login. But it's like I figure with WoW being as popular as it is, like that, it's not a thing. I guess maybe it's not, they don't care, but they think everybody has phones for Diablo.
Yeah, phones, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? They're right.
I do have phones.
I do have a phone. They're not wrong. I wish.
Speaking of phones, my my voicemail is completely full on my phone, and it keeps giving me message every day. It's like, hey, delete some messages, but I let it fill up in the hopes that it would stop telling me that it was full. And I had new voicemails. I was like, all right, I'm not going to check them. They're all spam. I know that for a fact. Just let it fill up and it won't tell me anymore. But it every time I get a new voicemail, it's like, hey, your voicemail's full. Delete some so you can have more. I was like, I don't want any of these. I just want it turned off. I don't want the notifications. I'm not answering the calls.
I can't get rid of mine either.
It's so annoying.
And all mine are like school loan debt people.
Yeah, they're all debt collectors and
I'm just like, yeah, I know. I know what's going on. Stop.
They call me like 4 times a day. I'm just like, I don't know what to tell you. I give you the monthly payment, and you're still calling me about it. Like,
just let me play WoW Classic in peace, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just degenerating here.
Let me watch WoW streams on my phone.
BT, let me ask you a question.
Oh God.
What would it?
No, I don't have the monthly payment ready. I'm sorry.
Would you play WoW Classic if you didn't have to pay for it for 1 month? For one night, would you try it?
I think I would try it. If I didn't have to pay for it, I would probably try it. Like I give it an honest shot, but it's like,
okay.
I'm not like I'm not completely against WoW or anything. It's just like I've been down that road in my life before.
With RuneScape.
Yeah, with RuneScape, and I know it, like even with like Black Ops or anything, I know if I commit to a game, like I'm fully committing to it. Like when Black Ops 4 came out, it's like you're not gonna see my streams for a month. I'm gonna play that game.
That was a time.
It's like
it was a good time.
it's a struggle not to just jump into Apex every night. It's like I want to. It's like when I see people ask like, "You want to play Apex tonight?" It's like, "Oh, I want to, but I got to stream."
I feel
So
like
it's
we're
like,
in Alcoholics Anonymous right now.
so especially
Like
with things like
talking about
MMOs,
heroin.
I just like it's like a hard cutoff. It's like I can't afford to even like think about getting into this, so I'm not even gonna try it. But it's like I would give it an honest try, like I do for everything. I want to go into it and be like, oh my god, this is so terrible, this is so slow. But it's like, you know,
It's yeah, it is. And I mean, a lot of people talk about how there are some points, especially later on, like the level cap is level 60. When you start getting like past level 40, there are times where it's like, man, I am just grinding.
also don't have BattleNet
And
installed anymore.
oh, there you go.
So, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
it
what
is
my
a
account
long thing.
info is.
Yeah, but I guess as a cap on this whole thing is time will, like, there is a point where you're just like kind of zoning out, kind of like RuneScape. It's like at some point you just zone out and you're just doing an MMO when you want to turn your brain off. It's a good late game or late night game. That's kind of what I want to keep it for me. Is
Yeah.
like if I'm tired or if it's late at night but I'm not tired, maybe I'll pop on WoW for like an hour or two, just because I don't really need to think. Like I need to kill these cougars, and they don't. So for some reason, all these cougars don't have teeth. So some of them only drop teeth, some of them don't. I'll just grind these cougars for about an hour.
Yeah, I've run into that same situation. It's like, oh, it's 3 a.m. No one's up, no one's live. It's like I just want to play something because I can't sleep. You know, I've tried going back to RuneScape in the past. It's like, no, I've realized my mistakes with that. I've tried Minecraft in the past. Like, love that game for a long time. You know, I can get into it for a day, and I'm like, that was fun to build, but I'm done. I can't go back to that. Killing Floor 2 was that game for me for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Payday 2 were kind of that. It's like some multiplayer type games I can kind of get into and play, but lately it's like past couple months, like if I realize I'm like, oh, maybe I want to play something, it's like I'll boot up Photoshop or I'll boot up OBS and like work on
Be
layouts.
productive.
Yeah, it's like I'll try to push it towards more productive stuff and just like throw on some music in the background. It's like, all right, I'm gonna learn how I can use this tool better in Photoshop and mess around with
That's
layouts.
the better thing to do.
But
Honestly.
then I like scrap everything. I'm like, all right, I got to completely do my OBS layout. It's all gone. That's why the podcast changes like every 2 months. I'm like, all right, I got to all thumbnails out the window, scrapping them, doing them all over. Like our website is getting redone this week. It kind of leads into a problem. It's like, oh god, I can never stop.
You're not alone. I think everyone falls into that for sure. And that's probably the better thing to do when you're in an MMO kind of mood. Like I think it's easy to fall into a game and just kind of be like, whatever, I'll just do this for a bit. Being productive or practicing like a skill, like guitar or something like that. Could be better.
For me lately, it's like the past couple days, that's what it's been. It's like,
yeah,
practice some arpeggios.
Do you write songs?
No.
You should.
I've legitimately tried several times, and there's like a small riff. I'm like, okay, I don't know how I would transfer out of this riff to something else or go into something more unique.
Songwriting's hard.
And then
It's
I'll start writing.
hard.
I'll start like making a riff. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. I'm like, oh wait, no, that's a song I know. I just can't think of who it is. And like, I'll spend 2 hours thinking of like, oh, I'm taking this riff from Korn or something else. I'm like, god damn it. I mean, thought this was so cool.
Yeah, we could derail a bit, but like on that note, it's kind of like that argument is like, is anything original anymore? And it's like
everything is arbitrary.
Everything, yeah, it is that, and it's just like if you come up with a riff, someone else has probably come up with that riff or close to it. But clearing your mind, maybe meditating, kind of related, clearing your mind of like other art and just like focusing on like, man, I think that sounded good. I'm gonna keep doing that. Maybe I'll turn it into try to transition it into a bridge or a chorus from that. Songwriting's hard as shit, dude. I've been dabbling with music in Ableton as a little bit, and man, putting riffs together is not easy. I do not envy production people.
No.
Or I'm jealous of production people because I don't know how to put things together. But music is cool either way.
We've had Johnny McBee from the Browning On podcast before, who used to stream. He doesn't stream that much anymore because he's Got plenty of other things to do these days. Shout
He's
out
got
to
a
Sam.
baby.
Yeah, baby on the way. But like
Congrats to
watching
Johnny.
him stream, just like putting tracks together like so quickly, just like this is
Yeah,
this is what I hear
oh
in my
my
head.
God.
This is how like sounded like bum bum bum. It's like, all right, I can put this in and just it sounds perfect. It's like
Some people just do that.
you try to get into it and it's like, all right, it's gonna take me 2 weeks to make one drum fill. That's like eight
Yes,
beats. It's like,
exactly.
oh my god.
Some people can just like float like water. They're just like,
Mm.
oh, this song is gonna go like this. And I'm like, I could come up with like a drum loop. That's about as much. I could come up with a drum loop with every instrument in one loop. I don't know how to make it a song.
Yeah.
That's the hardest. That's the hardest part.
It's just like years and years of experience and just struggling
It really
through
is.
it. And
It's
it's like,
practice.
yeah, you build it up.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. It's
That's
the
all about.
takeaway from today. You know who's taking
is there
baby
any-
steps? Mixer. Because their streamers look like babies next to
They're
Twitch
like
streams.
teenagers right now,
So
figuring things out.
it's kind of been about a month now since Ninja's made his way over to Mixer. And with Twitch's success with WoW Classic popping up, 1.1 million viewers watching yesterday. It's like, this is blowing up on Twitch. Let me hop over to Mixer to see how they're doing. I put a screenshot up on Twitter of like the top 8 channels. Number 1 was Ninja at like 19,000. Substantially lower than, Asmongold at 500,000. But, it's Monster
The
Cat.
circumstances, it makes sense.
Out of the other 8, or out of the 8 total streamers.
This is top of all Mixer, right?
Top, yeah. Two of
All of
them.
Mixer.
2 of them were 24/7 radio stations. Monster Cat and Chilled Cat were 2 of them. The one was Paladin Game, which I think is like a developer streaming with different streamers included, so it's kind of like a paid thing. I don't know.
Sure.
One of them was Warframe. One was Fortnite that wasn't Ninja, and then two of them were Warcraft. But in total, they had like combined 2,100 viewers.
That's right.
So one was 1,600 and one with about 500 viewers. So you
That's
compare
less than-
2,000 viewers on Mixer for World of Warcraft getting a buzz, as opposed to Twitch having 1.1 million viewers. Like it's like, all right, I want to stream Warcraft today.
Where do I do that?
I'm gonna go over, and I have a choice because I don't have a contract with either one yet. It's like I can go where there's 2,000 viewers or there's 1.1 million viewers.
Yes, the
like-
clear option, still Twitch
Yeah,
all the time.
Even with with all the Fortnite drama that's happened with Mex. I don't know if you've seen the news, but many of the top streamers, Courage, Ninja, Tim Tatman, have a lot of issues with the recent changes in Fortnite.
Oh,
And,
Mechs?
Yeah, they introduced mechs into Fortnite, and they were overpowered, and they nerfed them, but then they've nerfed building somehow as well. I don't really know the inner mechanics of it.
I think there are places you can drop that you can't build anymore. Like Tilted Towers is one I heard. I don't know how I heard this, but you can't build in Tilted Towers or something like that.
Yeah, so it's like...
It's just like you arbitrarily... It's like if you took away like putting attachments on your guns in Apex in just like the loot ship.
They nerfed.
I don't
turtle
know.
bullets, yeah.
Something, or you take away abilities on the loot ship or something. It's just like, why would you take away a core mechanic in just one spot or two spots or something? I don't know. I don't play Fortnite.
I don't personally care what the drama with Fortnite, but it's just like, in regards to Mixer, it's like that was the big appeal. It's like you bring Ninja over, and he's like come out and said, "Hey, I'm not gonna play other games because I want to bring as much of my audience over to really help Mixer grow." And it's like, if he's not feeling Fortnite, his audience isn't really gonna feel it either. Like if they can tell he's not really interested, they're gonna be like, "Well, he's not really feeling it today. He's not being entertaining. I'm gonna piece off."
He's stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it's like he's got to bring this
situation.
audience over and basically only stream Fortnite when he's not happy with the current state of the game. It's like that was Mixer's big draw. It's like we're gonna bring Ninja over and get all these viewers. It's like not only has it not cascaded down to the other channels, like at all, but it's like his numbers are dwindling. So it's like it's it's so little. It's like in
Yeah.
the end, it's like here's this big move, and basically where everyone expected it to go. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, it sucks to
So
see. It's like I want to see Mixer be more competitive, but they threw out a fishing line and didn't get anything.
So I want to point out something Blair said in chat, because we're less informed on Fortnite. That's expected. But they apparently nerfed turbo building in Fortnite, which is if you've seen some crazy Fortnite clips where, for example, the winner of the 3 million Fortnite championship, $3 million Fortnite championship, I forget his name. Can't remember.
Bugga, right?
Bugadoo. Yeah, that guy. If you watch clips of him or any top Fortnite player, they're like whipping their mouse around and super building super fast to like kind of manipulate building around people to like kill them super fast or like trap them. Booga, thank you. Uh, they apparently are nerfing that a little bit, and that is something that people aren't fans of because that's kind of taking away that skill ceiling that people really respect a lot in Fortnite, where it's like if you are really sick at Fortnite, you can do this, like building
Hmm.
super fast, spatial awareness, knowing where an enemy is going to be at while you're kind of building and destroying walls around you and kind of trying to read what they're trying to do in response to what you're doing. Like they might try to knock a wall down towards you and like try to kill you in one place or get out and go around and flank you. Like I'm sure there are tons of facets of competitive gameplay around turbo building, apparently. So since they tried to nerf that, that's kind of like
You took
I
out
hate to
like
keep
the core mechanic of the game that like draws
yeah,
people to it in terms of like
yeah,
pros and the skill ceiling. You lower that, and that's why they also introduced the mech. Is their reasoning was we want more people to have a chance at winning. So basically, like, oh, I can't win on my own
yes.
skill, so I'm gonna use a mech and get a win. That's what a lot of people have the argument against. It's like if you if you can't win on your own merit, then you don't deserve the win. You shouldn't just get an item that lets you win the game.
And that's all. That's the delicate balance when it comes to a dev accidentally making a game that has a crazy high skill ceiling that players just suddenly respect. And I apologize for keep going back to
I
this
swear to God,
example,
I swear to God, if you
but
say it,
melee,
God damn it, Saint.
but melee, when melee, okay, when Brawl was released and they took out wave dashing, dash dancing, they added in accidental tripping. It was like, and this is like nobody plays fucking Brawl. People modded Brawl into Project M to be more like Melee because the skill ceiling was brought back down. And they not only was the skill ceiling brought down because they made it less technical, they added accidental tripping to like make it so like, oh, you want to just, oh, are you just like dash dancing? All right, you tripped, fucking idiot, stupid. Now you're gonna get hit. It's just like when there's a certain respect assigned to the skill ceiling involved in a game that people are enjoying, and the developers intentionally wing clip you, yeah, you're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
negative feedback because people enjoyed that. People enjoy like, oh, if somebody's a fucking epic gamer and they can turbo build, and then you're like, no, we're nerfing that. Also, mechs make you better,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're bad. It's like that's a bad look. People don't like that. People don't respect that, and it makes you look like shit
Yeah.
because taking, you're trying to boost the people who are, and you could call it elitist or whatever you want, but you're taking the people who are not doing that well and bringing them up, like kind of like unnecessarily. When it comes to a competitive format,
Mm-hmm.
this is
Which
all like,
BRs are. They're
yeah,
competitive.
talking competitive, which BRs are by nature. Casually, like that's like its own thing. But if you're talking about competitive, if you're bringing lower skilled players up with some mechanic that they don't really earn, yes, that is going to draw negative feedback. That is
Mm-hmm.
just that's just competitive gaming 101, I
Yeah.
guess.
That's why if you go and look at like the Fortnite directory or the WoW directory, you may see some like top names that you may recognize even if you don't watch them. Like they've switched over because they don't feel like playing for it Fortnite right now. It's like I'm not really into WoW Classic, but it's the big thing on Twitch, and my audience would probably still watch me do it and swap over to that. You know,
Oh man,
like Shroud and Tim the Tatman. It's like they're not really known to play World of Warcraft, but they're some of the top streamers in that category right now, getting like double their viewers and stuff.
it's
like,
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
What Blair says, they don't need a free win mechanic. They need matchmaking. Just get match made against other noobs.
yeah.
That makes it fun when you're ranked against other noobs. You're in Elo hell or whatever it's called. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not a fan of taking away skill ceiling because the very bottom percent of players are like, these people are too good at the game. I'm choosing my time to play. Like, I'm spending my time to play on this game. I know what the game is all about. I want you to change it for me. It's like, go do something else. Ugh.
It's also one of those things. It's like the majority of people playing Fortnite are kids.
True.
That don't really understand that concept. There's like, I'm losing.
Yes.
Either then they turn to cheating, which is, you know, pretty easily available if you go looking for it.
But not, it's going to be solved on Stadia.
Yeah. Or they go down the route of, I'm just going to play something else. So it's like, if they introduce a mechanic that can make them win every now and then like, oh, hey, I can, you know, I can show off to my friends that I got a win in Fortnite last night when I go to school. And all that good stuff.
Another thing that just occurred to me, second in chat, said get good. Remember that whole Sekiro not fiasco, but the whole Sekiro conversation about difficulties and handicapped gamers in single player? I wonder if that's like a separate thread in this whole thing.
Maybe it could be.
I don't know. I feel like
not
we're not
really single player versus.
I guess single player versus ranked multiplayer is like a whole different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, accessibility options should definitely be a thing, and multiplayer and usually somewhat are, but it's also those situations where it's like it's competitive, so it's harder to balance that stuff.
Yeah,
when you're going against other players as opposed to NPCs. Like NPCs, you can change all sorts of mechanics, but you can't really do that to other players. You can't buff someone and nerf someone else. It's like you can't.
Yeah, for sure.
Really change that kind of stuff.
I think that would be an interesting conversation to have because that's a single player conversation with Sekiro. And I remember watching Half Coordinated play Sekiro, and that was something that came up often in his stream. Maybe we can have him on to talk about multiplayer and like what like complex stuff is going on there, like with kind of.
So multiplayer, how does it work?
Yeah, multiplayer with ranked. Like, what is your kind of thoughts on that when it comes to, you know, handicapped players or something like that? Because I have no idea on that whole thing. Like, what does somebody think about that when they want to play ranked, but they kind of have troubles doing that?
I don't know if I talked about this last week.
I've never thought about that.
With Rage 2 keybinds, I may have talked about it. Like, even at having
I saw you tweet about it.
Having accessibility keybinds of being able to keybind whatever you want. So it's like for instance, if I talked about it last week, we're gonna recap it. If not, then I guess I got to tell it here. I use ESDF for my movement keys.
You fucking weirdo.
Which I'm actually in the process of making a video on. Because it's just something that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I get asked about it quite a bit when I upload videos, and people are like, you use W for use. Like, do you have that bound to forward and use at the same time? It's like, and I had to go through the process of explaining. No, I just use ESDF, so it's like I just want to make a video.
So you use E for forward. So you must use E for forward and U, right?
Yeah, it's like
what?
Just make a video on that.
That would be dumb.
I've been like Googling it and seeing other people make videos, and there's a couple of Fortnite like sort of competitive people that have put out videos on it too, and their reasoning for why they do it and the advantages. Like, some of their reasonings make sense, and other ones I'm just like, what the fuck are you actually talking about here? They're like, oh, if you go one more over to RDFG, your pinky has even more keys to hit. And if you go, like, if you keep going down the keyboard, you have more and more keys with your pinky. It's like, if you're that far down on the keyboard, your pinky cannot hit all of those keys. Like,
I
Um,
I am personally a PL:'' player.
that aside, that video is going to come out soon enough. But it's like
That's super cool.
the
I
pro-
didn't know you were working on that.
the problem with the movement keys being rebound in Rage 2 is if you get into a vehicle, mainly the air vehicles, you can rebind those keys as well to have whatever you want. But the Icarus, which we use in the New Game Plus speedrun, defaults to W and S for forward, and that even if you change the keybind, it stays on that. So when I was trying to fly, I think I did talk about this.
I think you did, actually.
Yeah. So when I was trying to fly, E wouldn't go forward. So I'd have to use W, but that was also my exit vehicle button. So it's like if I tried to move forward, it'd exit the vehicle. And if I try if I try to go back with S, it'd go back and left. So it's like I had to switch everything back to WSD, and it's like that to me
it's super awkward.
It's super awkward. It's like I'm trying to be competitive with these runs, and it's like I'm constantly hitting the wrong keybinds. Like if you watch my early Rage 2 runs, I'm constantly pulling out the wrong weapon because I'm hitting like 2 instead of 3 or 3 instead of 4. And it's like I'm ground slamming all the time.
Yeah, that fucks everything up.
I've been like grinding Absolov runs like right before Rage 2, so I'm like doing a run where I'm using ESDF to move around for like 3 hours, like I'm just in the zone. And it's like I now have to mentally switch and just physically think about like, okay, I gotta go.
Where's
WSD.
my finger?
Yeah,
in relation to the goddamn numbers, Mason.
So, like even in something that's single player but still like a competitive nature, like those kind of options can really just like change everything.
They should be default. They should be like that sort of stuff shouldn't happen, especially with Rage 2 of all games.
Yeah, it's great when developers, because not every developer puts in the ability to rebind keys. I've had to do some runs where WSD was the only option. I was like, I'll suffer through it because I want to run this game. But it's really annoying when they allow you to rebind stuff, but they don't really test that every rebind works as it should. And it's like that's such an easy thing to double check. Like if you're allowed to rebind something that
vehicle controls and stuff like that.
Like, oh, I can rebind my movement. Also, there's a sort of respawn mechanic in Rage 2 called defibrillation. Defibrillation. And by default, it's WASD. It's how you control it. But if you swap your movement keys, you can't rebind that mechanics keys to the ES or whatever you change it to. They'll say it's like, oh, it's a duplicate key. You can't use it. So I had to put it on arrow keys instead. But by default, the WSD is double bound. You just can't double bind it to something else. It's like,
it's pretty bad. I have multiple thoughts on this. So first off, everyone, like at least half of people who are watching just looked at their keyboards and put their fingers on ESDF to see how crazy you are. Secondly is I agree, every goddamn game needs the accessibility options to like rebind whatever you need to rebind, and it needs to do exactly that. Make different categories for player controls, vehicle controls, whatever else controls. And also if developers would put at least minimum 3 different keys for each different keybind. For example, crouch, you should be able to have 3 different binds of crouch. You should have that default in any goddamn game. And I say this because
most
speedrunning
offered 2, but some just stick to 1.
Yeah, most offer 2. That's like the default. Some offer 1, like my friend Pedro, which is why I brought it up at all. My friend Pedro, by default, you can only bind every action to 1 fucking key. And the reason that's a problem is because bunny hopping and my friend Pedro is like the movement. That is what you need to be doing all the time. You can only have 1 bind per action. So it's like space is what I use for just jumping throughout most of the game. But for bunny hopping, I want to put that on a goddamn mouse scroll. But like, we're not going to allow like auto hotkeys or like macros for like doing different things for different keys. Just if you're a developer, just put like at least two different options for controls, and then for each control, make sure the rebinds work. It's weird, and yeah, and focus on accessibility, like Creeper Hunter says in chat. Like, there's a lot of like very simple things that aren't done still in video games in 2019 Anno Domini, the year of video gaming.
I just remembered it's also in Prey Mooncrash. They don't like the menuing. Is usually WSD. Like if you're on the menu, like your inventory and stuff, it's like use WSD.
Oh, and that doesn't change?
No, so it's if you watch my Mooncrash run in particular, you have to like swap items over, and generally you can hit a keybind. You like hold it down and it swaps things over automatically. I can't use that in Mooncrash because I use ESDF.
And it's WASD.
Yeah, it's like when I'm trying to hot swap something over, it'll move the cursor up and left or something like that. I don't remember what it is in particular, but it'll move my selection off of what I'm looking at and swap that item over. So it's like it's such an easy thing to like double check. It's like, oh, we're gonna allow these keybinds, but we're gonna have these default and just stick to the same thing. It's like,
yeah, it's like one of those things that's like based on different engines. It's going to be different, and the developers in whatever engines. It's yeah, it's weird. And it reminds me of some like older speed runs, like older PC games where it's like you're using WASD or ESDF to move around, but like when you get to the menus, this happens in Hitman Blood Money. You can't, so between missions in Hitman Blood Money, I noticed this when I was speedrunning Hitman. There are sections in between missions where you pick your upgrades for your guns, and you upgrade your guns and your equipment. You can only use the arrow keys for that. And I was like, what? Like I'm moving around with WASD, and that's the default movement. But like for these menus where you upgrade your stuff, you need to move over to the arrow keys and use all this shit over here. And I was like, I can do that, but that shouldn't be the case. That's really stupid. Yeah. But it is older, but like as we move forward with game development, that should be like way more.
Yeah.
Way more,
it's like these days
it should link to your movement keys.
Yeah. These days when I boot up a new game, like a game that just came out, it's like depending on who it's from or, you know, any titles, I can pretty much always assume like there's a high likelihood I'm not going to be able to rebind keys if I boot up an indie game. Like when they do, I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like Absolov, that's the first thing I was like, oh my God, I can rebind every key. But if a game's going to have vehicles in it, it's like I'm almost even hesitant to change any keys because it becomes a nightmare with entering vehicles. If you can, sometimes you can't rebind the vehicle controls. So it's like, even Wolfenstein has issues with the underwater scuba section in the New Order. Like if it still wants to use, I don't even know. So E is usually exit, like exit the vehicle. So if I try to go forward, it tries to kick me off. If I hold something else first and then hold down E, it'll work just fine. I can go forward and be fine. But like the first time I hit E, if I just like try to move forward, it'll kick me off. So it's like I have to hit use and hold FE. I have to hold down use and then like swap to forward and then let go of use to keep moving forward. So you'll notice me like get on and off in that game if I do runs of it.
It's like you're doing like impressive tech that only applies to you,
and it loses time.
and and it's like not worth doing.
So it's like really puts me off of running rich. It's like I love the run. I want to keep doing it, but it's like I need them to update the game to fix that. It's also people. It's like no one really asked me to run Fallout 4 anymore, but because that run, I don't know if this is the case nowadays, but it used to be you run on the unpatched version, and keybinds were completely broken. Like rebinding keys were completely broken on the unpatched version of the game. So I had to run on WSD, and that just like I don't want to go through that nightmare again.
That fucked you all up.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to do it. I think because the grabbing, like interacting with stuff, was still bound on E, even if you changed it. So my forward key would be trying to pick up items. So it's like I'm trying to do the skip, but I'm also walking forward at the same time. It's like I can't do this. So I had to go back to WSD.
I imagine that's like swapping. Like for console players, that's probably like you're playing on a PS3 controller, but you have to play on Xbox 360 controller or something.
It's like playing on any modern controller and then trying to use the N64 controller.
All right, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
actually.
you're just like, what the fuck is this hot garbage?
N64 to GameCube to keyboard or something.
The NES controller.
Yeah,
There's no buttons on this damn thing.
What do I do? Help.
But yeah, I've been meaning to make a video on that, and I asked on Twitter like, hey, would people actually be interested in that? And I got some good responses. So it's gonna take me a while to make because like everything else, I want to make sure it's like perfect and explains my reasoning behind it, like actually in detail.
I mean, that could be a very important video for video game development in general, and I'm not just like
there's
saying
also
that
a lot
as,
of history that goes into it, which I wasn't aware of.
I could imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that because like you're my friend and I would like that video to do well, but like potentially like as video game development goes on and the whole Sekiro thing happened where accessibility was a thing that came into question. It's like that's a conversation to have. And I don't think that like fire's been lit yet for like controls to be like I feel like every game developer just kind of like phones in the controls to however they think that their game needs to be made with a control menu. Like I think there should be like a standard set. Like there needs to be a standard for controls. Yeah. Especially for accessibility, but not just accessibility, but like customization based on how you want to do things.
It's going to sound weird and kind of fanboyish because of the game I'm about to say. But one of the series that does like accessibility and especially like key binding, and I noticed like colorblind stuff especially well, like early on, was Call of Duty. Like it does that stuff super fucking well.
Which Call of Duty?
Like mainly like the Black Ops series, the ones I played, but like even going back to like Black Ops 2, it's like they had like tons of like colorblind modes, like depending on what type of colorblindness you had, it would change. Usually it's like, oh, I have colorblind, it'll change like one little thing. But this
super
like,
underrated. Yeah, colorblind options.
It's like that's the first time I kind of noticed it was in Black Ops 2. But it's like keybinds are never an issue in Call of Duty for me. It's like it's a AAA game. It's like you think others would like, oh, this is how AAA games are doing it. Maybe we should follow suit. But it's like everyone's kind of it's Call of Duty. I'm not gonna pay attention to it. It's like it's despite the game being fun, and you know you can argue that or whatever. But it's like in terms of settings and options and stuff, it's like. I look at that, I'm like, why can't every AAA studio, at least, you know, indie games, I can kind of understand them not knowing the mechanics of the engine and how to get that set up. So I can kind of excuse it, especially if it's like a small indie game, like has 5 developers or something.
Yeah, you got Undertale or something.
Like AAA studios, like that should not be an issue at all. It's amazing to me. And I think a lot of devs, like they allow key rebinds, but they only imagine like they're still going to use WSD for movement, and maybe they want to move crouch. Or they want to move sprint or something. They don't really expect you to go full rebind and change the entire keyboard up, which is, if you're going to allow me to change the keyboard, you should check that changing the keyboard actually, you know, works.
Yeah. No, I don't think it's like completely unreasonable.
No.
Where it's like, you should be able to customize however you want to play. Because you can't just expect everyone to be like, oh, so we're an indie dev. We're gonna make this indie shooter. It's kind of co-op. WASD. The vehicle exit button is this, and we kind of like oversaw that. You know, if somebody changed the buttons, then E is still the exit vehicle thing. It's like, come on, it's 2019. Video games have been around for a while. It's still a young medium. You know, if you compared it to like movies, but like. We're smarter and we know that people have these issues and people want to customize shit, especially if you're on a PC. You should be able to customize everything. Give people the ability to customize that. Make sure you pay attention to it. There should be a standard. I agree with that. I super agree with that. I think it's past due that people like devs like really pay attention to this shit.
Yeah, I'm going to sidetrack this. I didn't even think to write this down as a topic, but
go for it.
There's the news of like Halo coming to PC, and there's a thread that popped up of like, here's some gameplay of Halo on PC, and it's like the entitlement of the replies in that post, like, God, I can't believe they would port this to PC. Now PlayStation fans can play it, and you know, people on PC don't deserve
Oh my
Halo and all
God.
this stuff. It's like Jesus Christ.
Xbox.
It's like, let alone having mouse and keyboard to play a shooter. It's like the amount of customization options and like the graphic settings that come with it being on PC. Like being able to customize all that stuff is the appeal of playing on, besides mouse and keyboard, is like the appeal. Like you can go in and change. You can turn off motion blur. You can go up to 4K if you want. You can.
Oh my God.
You can tweak all
It's
the
the
stuff.
best.
It's like
No, it needs to be Xbox only, where you have no options and it's dog shit.
yeah, I'm gonna try to find that thread and link it for people. But
Maybe bringing it to PC is good because you can make it a good game or a better game. Halo is a good game. Make it a better game. Halo Combat Evolved was on PC, wasn't it? Or was that just multiplayer? I didn't play a lot of Halo.
I barely played any, but if anybody wants to read the thread, I just linked it in chat. You just go through the replies.
Make cutscenes skippable. Shouts to Lifelike. That's right. Make every cutscene skippable.
That too.
Ever. Nobody needs to watch another cutscene if they've seen it before. That's just like a common sense thing.
So just this one, I was scrolling down to find something stupid. This person's comment was, Halo on PC was a mistake. Not changing my mind. Halo on Xbox is my childhood. PC is just going to ruin it.
Oh, wow.
Like,
that is the worst, coldest take I have ever seen.
Give me that classic Halo experience.
Listen.
Keyboard and mouse, handicapped noobs.
Halo should not be on PC because Halo was on Xbox. That was my childhood.
Yeah, there's like
Are you
tons
stupid?
and tons of
Are you
replies
fucking
like that.
stupid? Are you fucking stupid? This was my childhood. Are you stupid? It shouldn't be on PC.
This is the one I was trying to find before. Such a wonderful game getting taken over by a bunch of keyboard warriors, claiming that they pro on PC when it's so easy on PC rather than console where you actually have to aim.
No.
It's like I said, there's just like tons of replies like that. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Let's put Counter-Strike Global Offensive on console.
Okay.
Is that a thing?
I feel like it is. I mean, it's free to play now. So
I feel like it is, but it's probably not because all the pros play on PC. I feel like there's this like narrative that some people still believe where it's like Call of Duty is still like all the best players are still on console.
I still do not understand that in the slightest, but
there's like a weird thing where it's like I'm sure they are really fucking good. Like I could not go toe to toe with them on PC. I'm sure that's the thing. But like when it comes to PC versus console, if you got one game, theoretically, if you got one game where console and PC players all played competitively, PC wins. PC absolutely fucking wins. Put Counter-Strike Global Offensive on console. Nobody's gonna fucking compete with Counter-Strike fucking PC players.
I mean, Modern Warfare,
not in a million fucking years.
Modern Warfare, when it comes out, is having crossplay. I think
they're not having crossplay though. It's not actual crossplay.
It's controller versus controller. So if you're playing on PC with controller, it's crossplay with controller.
It's
and if
not
you're playing mouse and keyboard
mouse.
on. Yeah, it's not quite the same, but it's still an interesting thing. You could work around it, much like how people worked around like PUBG Mobile and not like hooking it like an emulator and playing on PC to destroy people. There's ways around it, so that's gonna happen. But yeah, that's the reason why crossplay for PC and consoles, like you can have, well, if Sony let it, crossplay between Switch, PlayStation, Xbox. Like that usually works out pretty okay. It worked out for Fortnite, but you throw PC into the mix, and generally devs are like, yeah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and like everyone knows that, and I think it's still crazy that there's still console players who think that console can keep up with keyboard mouse at the like toppest level, and I think it's Call of Duty that does that.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I think all of the Call of Duty competitive, it's always console. Like for some reason, it's never PC. Like console is where you do competitive Call of Duty.
Yeah. I mean,
from watching streams, it's really strange.
Talking strictly shooters, yes. Like FIFA and Madden and
Oh yeah,
and that
Madden
stuff,
and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
That doesn't matter at
Or
that point.
fighting games. That's a completely different story. But
Yeah, pad versus fight stick. It's like
Mhm.
it's the same shit. Like it's not too different anymore. But I don't know.
it is
It's funny.
what it is.
The PC versus console stuff is usually like aim assist versus no aim assist, but with the Modern Warfare re-release, it's you can play against console people from a PC if you're using a controller. So it's like at that point, you might as well be playing on a console, you know, because you're using a controller. But if you're using a keyboard and mouse, you won't get matched against them. But I'm sure you could spoof that in some way.
Yeah,
to
someone's gonna find a way within like the first
somebody's
week.
gonna find a fucking way to play against console players with a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's gonna be unfair as shit. Because you can snap faster. Like factually, I can move my mouse faster to the right side of the screen than a stick holding right. And that's really the only argument you make against console players. It's like my mouse moves faster than your stick. That's it. That's all it is.
You're gonna be killing them like Anakin killed the young ones, or like Dark Ray's gonna do in the newest trailer for
I'm writing
Skywalker.
a segue right now. I'm writing a segue right into Disney.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure I was gonna get out of that, but
No,
D23 happened over the weekend, and there's some Marvel news. Everyone was kind of expecting or hoping, at least, for Spider-Man's return to the MCU, which did not happen. Could still happen, but it didn't happen there. You got some shows. Really, the only cool thing out of Marvel was Moon Knight got announced. I mean, there's some other stuff announced, but that's the only one I care about because holy fuck, it's Moon Knight.
Go ahead. What's Moon Knight? Tell us all about. I know what it is, but tell all the people who don't.
You want to
know.
go with the classic explanation? It's Batman, but steroids and with mental illness involved. Basically, it's a guy who gets infused with a moon god from Egypt, and comes back and fights crime, but he's also schizophrenic, I think is the proper. It's been a long time since growing up, I had a Moon Knight action figure, and that was like my favorite. I didn't know anything about him at the time, but it's like over the years.
He looked cool.
Yeah, I was like, this guy looks like a badass. It's like I've picked up bits and pieces here, so it's like I don't really know his backstory. I'm not going to claim to know his backstory that well, but it's like we get a series. Holy shit, I'm excited for that. It's like the Marvel Netflix shows for me were super exciting, and towards the end, I dwindled off. But it's like out of the new Disney Plus shows that got announced, like most of them not super exciting for me. But Moon Knight, absolutely, I will check that out. And then they announced some Star Wars.
I didn't know there was a Moon Knight trailer. That's cool. Because
I
like
don't think
Moon
there was
Knight.
a trailer.
There wasn't. They
no.
just announced it.
Yeah, they just came out and announced it.
Okay.
It probably won't be out until like 2021, 2022. They did announce Black Panther 2 is coming out in 2022. It's like, Jesus Christ. For how much money that movie made and how big of an impact. Like,
They came out in 2017, right? Or
yes, no, 2018.
I'm
Early
right
2018.
now.
Pretty sure early 2018.
Early 2018. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like most of those movies kind of get their next.
Yeah,
sequel
like they
pretty
didn't
quick,
start that yet.
Yeah, I would have figured like maybe going in the next year or the latest early 2021, but 2022, that's like a long way out for that. But they're setting up more stuff. Phase 4, not super exciting. Like there's some stuff mixed in which we've talked about on the podcast before. But it looks more maybe like Phase 5 is going to be the big comeback. You get all the big characters again. Maybe Spider-Man shows back up. Who knows? Maybe he's going to show up in Venom, possibly. But like I said, Star Wars were showing off much more. Mandalorian got a trailer, which we'll mention in a minute. McGregor is back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is kind of the breaking news. And then they showed off a bit of Rise of the Skywalker, which
Yes.
is the thing.
Do you want me to talk about any of these things?
Go for it, Mr. Star Wars Melee Man.
I know everything about Star Wars and Super Smash Bros. Melee. I guess I'll start with the Mandalorian trailer. That show looks cool. one of the things that stood out for
We're
me.
done.
So it's not about.
It looks
Go
cool,
ahead.
right? We're done.
Yeah, done. All right, all good. No, so it's not about Boba Fett, which
Thank God.
I'm a big fan of that. It's just the Mandalorian, which there were many Mandalorians. So I'm like, cool. It's about some Mandalorian, which is great. I am always a fan of Boba Fett maintaining his goddamn mystery. Let him just be. You don't know what he's all about, but we know what he's all about at this point, which sucks. But it's just some guy.
You could say he's the classic Captain Phasma.
All right,
looks cool for the first moment, and then it's completely worthless, and they throw him away.
Captain Phasma is literally a spoof off Boba Fett. I'll maintain that because Boba Fett was literally just cool looking guy. You don't know anything about him, and that's why he's cool. But then you learned everything about him through like extended universe. But the Mandalorian looks pretty neat. There were some cool visuals going on in that trailer. The only thing it bothered me so much, and I don't know what the time frame is for this movie. But they showed one scene where they showed a bunch of bounties who were frozen in carbonite. So they in Empire Strikes Back, they froze Han Solo in carbonite to deliver to Jabba the Hutt. They explicitly made a point in Empire Strikes Back that they weren't sure it was even going to work, that Han Solo would survive. Lando checked Han Solo after he was frozen in carbonite, and he was like, all right, looks like he's alive. Like, okay, that means they weren't sure this was going to work. But in the Mandalorian trailer, they took that imagery of Han Solo, like, in carbonite, and they were like, oh, look at all these bounties, like, stocked up in carbonite. And it's like, what was that? What did that just catch on the moment after Boba Fett learned that you could freeze people in carbonite? Like, suddenly that's the default thing that everyone does. Like, nobody like just catches bounties and like ties them up and puts them in handcuffs and puts them in their fucking ship. Every bounty hunter apparently freezes people in carbonite, and they're all like exactly in the position as Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back, and that's the default for bounty hunters. And the Mandalorians aren't all bounty hunters. It's like, what is going on? Like, you are literally just taking Empire Strikes Back, the imagery of Han Solo in carbonite, and you're like, every bounty hunter captures their bounties like this in carbonite.
Somebody clip that
instead of just like handcuffs or a cage or something. And it's just like, that's just the dumbest imagery you could possibly pick. Because every Star Wars like fanboy or girl is gonna be like, oh man, that's like Han Solo in Empire Strikes Back. And it's like, fuck you. That's fucking stupid.
I'm gonna go post that to r/movie details.
Oh, it's so stupid. Even if the Mandalorian takes place after Empire Strikes Back, is the dumbest imagery you could possibly pick. Bounty hunters are just bounty hunters. If a bounty hunter catches a bounty and they paralyze them, you put them in handcuffs. You're not gonna take them to Cloud City and put them in the pit and then they fucking freeze in carbonite exactly like Han Solo. Fuck off. Stupid.
All right.
IG-88 was in the trailer and he's cool.
What are your thoughts about the Obi-Wan?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. You didn't fanboy over it?
I like Ewan McGregor. That was cool.
Yeah. It's like, I liked him as Obi-Wan, but I've never gotten quite the hype. Like, oh my God, I can't wait for him to come back to play more Obi-Wan. So it's like, I mean, I guess people love this, but
I thought it was like kind of cool. Like, if there is a Obi-Wan movie or show, I don't know what it is, but if Ewan McGregor plays it, yeah, it sounds like it's a show. If Ewan McGregor plays it, then that's I'm okay with that, you know. Then they showed the D23 Return of the Jedi trailer, which was
mostly clips from the older movies.
Yeah, it went in release order. They showed
for a
the
bit,
original
and
trilogy.
they kind of like cut back and forth. Just kind of.
I thought it was funny because they showed the original trilogy in order, and then they went to the prequels, and they just showed Darth Maul, like one scene
Qui-Gon.
from
Yeah.
like quite Darth Maul, Qui-Gon, like two like tiny scenes from Attack of the Clones, because that was the worst of the prequels. Then like some Revenge of the Sith shit. And I thought that was super funny. Like they showed so much original trilogy and just like, here are the prequels. And then here's the Return of the Jedi. Or sorry, the
Force Awakens.
yeah, all the new stuff. I was like, that's funny. They just totally like super skipped like a lot of the prequels.
Yeah.
And then it gets into some new Rise of Skywalker trailer footage.
I think the only like the two big things out of the trailer I've seen mentioned were C-3PO with the red eyes and Dark Ray with the hinged
the Boy Scout knife.
Yeah, I love that GIF so much.
God,
it's so good.
So I watched this whole trailer, and
which apparently that kind of lightsaber design is also in like the Clone Wars. Like a certain guard uses something like that too, so it's not.
Yeah, sure, whatever. It's stupid. C-3PO's red eyes. It looks like Starkiller Base is like blowing up something else, but it's probably a new Starkiller Base. Rey is throwing a lightsaber through the forest and cutting down a tree. Who knows why? She's playing Minecraft. I don't know. Kylo.
That was actually just a clip of her in the Amazon. Just. She's like, all right,
she's like that one president. She just wants to burn down Brazil, dude. But like all the things that they show, it's like, okay, whatever. Fucking, it's Rise of Skywalker. Not seen that much. Rey and Kylo are dueling on some piece of ship in the ocean. It's probably the Death Star that's been, leaked and spoiled or whatever for a long time. The way it's shown in the trailer, it looks real boring. Like, it's just Kylo like, oh, we're gonna fight now. And Rey's like, yeah. And they fight on something. And it's like, okay, that's like the most generic fucking thing that could happen in this movie. And then it ends on the classic thing for Disney to do at the end of a trailer is to put something that's provocative that is probably not going to be anything interesting or important. It's Rey in a Emperor Palpatine cloak with a lightsaber that's like folded up. It's like a Darth Maul lightsaber that's like folded like that, and she like unfolds a Darth Maul lightsaber. And I saw that and I physically was like,
so I'm waiting for a fan edit.
Stupid.
It hasn't popped up yet. But what if instead of Rey, that was Jar Jar Binks?
I'd be much happier.
Yeah, I'd be like, holy shit.
The Darth Jar Jar theory was like the most interesting thing about the prequels.
I'm just waiting for that edit of him being there and like doing the flip with the lightsaber. Like,
you saw people gonna die.
Then I would actually be excited for this movie.
I don't know. I'm all down for Rey like somehow going dark side, corrupted by Palpatine.
I mean, it's one of those
that
things.
could be a thing, but
it's
that
also,
lightsaber looks stupid.
It could also just be a vision of if she turns.
It could be a vision. Yeah.
Like, here's what you'll be like if you turn evil. Yes. And it's like, well, okay, that scene didn't matter in the slightest at all. Or that's actually not be in the movie at all.
Yeah, that's actually when the other trailer came out with Palpatine like laughing at the end of the trailer, I was like, that's a flashback. Like that's a Force vision or something like that. And I was like, that's probably what's gonna happen. I don't think Palpatine's in the movie. I don't think he survived, or I don't think he's on the poster,
isn't he?
He's on the poster? Oh, let's talk about the poster. Oh my god. So it was exposed. I will say exposed that the poster, the Palpatine, the derpy, dumb Palpatine face in the poster that looks awful, like it's from a Clone Wars cartoon, is actually a toy. It's a Palpatine toy that came out. Nice. Yes, there's a photo of this. There is a Palpatine toy that is coming out. They took the face of the toy and they transposed it onto the poster. I'll try to find the picture. But yeah, there's a Palpatine toy, and it was matched like face to face.
Well, that's too long of a
put with the poster, and it is just a toy. Whoever artist that made the poster for Rise of Skywalker, took the Palpatine toy, put it in the background.
There you go.
So that leads me to believe that there is no actual Palpatine in the movie. There might be like a voice or something, or they just got Ian McDermott to do a laugh, and that would like spark some marketing or something. If they used a toy to put on the goddamn poster for the movie, he's probably not in the movie. There's no Palpatine in the movie. That's what I think.
Yeah, could be.
And Rey just kind of like hears the mad whispers of Palpatine's Force Sith, stupid idiot, dumbass. And she's like, I have a Darth Maul lightsaber now. It folds. I hate Star Wars. I fucking hate Star Wars. Fuck Disney.
He wants his
But
classic.
yeah, it'll
Star
probably
Wars
be a pretty good movie. Yeah, no, I'm a hype.
So it's I honestly don't care that much for Star Wars.
I don't care either, and that makes me mad.
Yeah, it doesn't make me mad.
I should care.
But like, it was maybe like a couple weeks ago. I think like back when me and you were playing Apex, I even mentioned it's like I saw some leaks, quote unquote leaks and rumors about like the plot of the movie. It's like I was reading through. I was like, I don't really care. It's like maybe it would get me more interested to go see it or something. So I was reading through. I was like, if this is truly the plot, if this was leaked, this is the stupidest plot I have ever seen, even for a Star Wars movie.
Do you want to say it, or did you tell me? I don't remember.
I might can tell you offline. I don't want to say it because in case it is a leak, I don't want to ruin it for anybody going into it. Right? It's like I don't want to. People like love Star Wars, and I don't want to spoil that months in advance if it truly was. I doubt it is. So like I said, it's a stupid fucking plot.
It might be true. You never know.
It could be, especially with J.J. Abrams directing.
Yeah.
It's like I keep waiting for these trailers to show me something to hook me, and it's like every time I see a trailer or see a poster, I'm just like, I'm gonna feel the exact way coming out of The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. It's like okay, I killed 2 hours.
I don't blame you.
It's like
I don't blame you. As a Star Wars fan, I don't fucking blame you. Like when The Force Awakens came out, I was like, all right, it's exactly The New Hope, but with different characters. Let's see where this goes. And then it didn't go anywhere. And now they're expecting me to care about the Rise of Skywalker and the cringy fucking shit they put in their trailer. I'm just like, this isn't Star Wars anymore to me. To me, it's not Star Wars.
It's not the classic Star Wars.
It's not even that it's not the classic Star Wars. It's just not interesting. Like, they expect it to just automatically be interesting because they have lightsabers and force powers and like stormtrooper helmets. And it's just like, oh, fuck off. Like, you're not even trying at this point.
Well, you know who is trying with their latest updates?
No
experimenting? OBS Studio.
All right, fine. Maybe.
It's working on version 24. I bring this up because it's currently in a release candidate form, meaning it's almost ready. They're just getting some bugs out of the way. And I downloaded it because there's a pretty cool feature that I've like secretly wanted, but I didn't really know. And then it happened, and I was like, holy shit. This is
like WoW Classic?
Even better
I didn't know you
than WoW
wanted
Classic.
Okay.
So they have what they're calling dynamic bitrate, which it's like, oh, that sounds stupid. Or it's like not interesting. But the goal of dynamic bitrate is if, let's say, like, for example, I stream at 6,000 bitrate. If my internet drops to where I can't meet that, usually you would drop frames and the stream would start to stutter. So it's like, this is the same quality, but you're just missing chunks of it now because your internet dipped for a little bit. What this feature does is instead of dropping your frames, it lowers the bitrate to match your internet. So
honestly, that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, so it's like your stream continues, you don't drop any frames, but it just gets a little blurry until it clears back up. So it's like I can stream for 6 hours and I will never have a dropped frame. Like, my quality might go down a little bit. You know, it might have some dips here and there, maybe like 5 minutes. It's like super blurry, but the stream never drops, which
I'm a big fan of that.
That's super awesome because it's like,
I super like that.
Especially for like speed runs. It's like when you can't really afford to have chunks missing of your run. Like if you get a record, it's like, well, there goes like 30 seconds of that run. It's like, you can't watch it. Like no one's going to verify that.
If you aren't local recording.
Right. It's like,
yeah,
it might get blurry now, but you can tell what's happening. Like you can tell it wasn't spliced or something
Yeah.
happened. That footage is still there. It's just it's a little blurry now. And even going back and watching, it's like I noticed it was happening. I was like, how does it look, Jen? They're like, it's a little blurry, but it's not that bad. I'm like, all right, my bitrate's currently in half right now, so it should be pretty bad. But it's like, no, it's really not fine. It's like it's such a great feature that I kind of always knew I wanted, but I didn't know how to express that. So it's like, it's really cool feature. Release Canada does have some annoying bugs to it. There's a bug where it's like sometimes if your internet gets low enough, it'll just drop it to 0 and like won't ever output again. I've had some issues with OBS not authorizing through Twitch properly, and that will like kill the stream. I have to like force close OBS and wait a couple of minutes and boot it back up. But once I get it all figured out, like it's such a great feature.
That's awesome.
I couldn't go back to classic OBS. Like
you're talking about OBS Studio?
Yeah. So I don't know if this is. It should make its way to Streamlabs OBS if you use that.
That's what I wanted to get to. Yeah. So I use Streamlabs OBS, and that would be great. Like, anyone who's streamed knows the moment of like chat just like derailing for a second, be like, hey, did the stream fucking drop frames for a second for anyone? It's like, if you could just get rid of that moment where it's just like, yeah, maybe my dumb internet in America was awful for a second, which it normally does.
Or it's just like a little bit slow for that entire night, right? It's gonna be a little blurry tonight, but you guys won't have any.
Yeah.
I can still stream it. It's not gonna be like unwatchable.
Yeah, it's like I can stream, but not like worry about like, oh, I'm dropping frames because I thought it was gonna be at this frame rate. If it automatically adjusts, that's a game changer. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they also have some other features which I haven't really taken advantage of, like for not Streamlabs, but for OBS Studio, their last update, you could have like Twitch chat. So I have Twitch chat and my dashboard and stuff integrated into OBS.
Yeah.
You can now put in custom panels. So it's like if you go to if you have Streamlabs, you can take that URL, throw it into OBS and put a panel and resize it. Or if you have like Twitter up, you can put that into your OBS. I haven't really used that 'cause I don't have space on my OBS window, but yeah, any website you can like embed into your OBS now through that, which is super cool.
That's actually fucking ridiculous. Holy shit.
It's like some really cool stuff.
I'm gonna look into this.
Like I said, kind of worth waiting for release candidate, but I want to try for the actual release, which is hopefully soon. But I just really want to try the dynamic bitrate. When I saw it, I was like, holy shit, that would be awesome. I gotta have that. So it's like, it's kind of worth dealing with the bugs.
Nice. Because I mean, when you go live, like that's the one thing that's like the most important thing is like, what bit rate am I gonna stream at? It depends on where you live. And I know you've lived in the same place for a while, maybe changed internet or something, but I've lived in multiple places and my bit rate constantly changes. So if I had an option, I was just like, automatically pick my bit rate, please.
Well, you still set your like what your goal bit rate is, but it'll just if you can't achieve that, it'll like
lower it.
Yeah. I was kind of like
that would be great.
Wondering initially, like, does it like change the resolution and stuff? But no, it just drops the bit rates. It's on the fly. Damn it! Like if you're aiming for 720p and you're streaming at like 4,000 bit rates, like maybe you can't get that high. So it's like, if you drop down to like 480p, it'd look better. But it's like that stuff you'd have to figure out if you're constantly getting a blurry stream. But that's a whole different issue that you can solve.
Well, there you go.
But if anyone's out there streaming and use OBS Studio, I don't know when or if this is coming to Streamlabs OBS. I tried using Streamlabs OBS because I use Streamlabs for alerts and that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of stuff that wasn't available when Streamlabs OBS launched that I kind of used for my layout, like making sure text didn't go outside of a certain box if I wanted it centered for like when I have songs playing for like my startup, having that centered properly and not breaking. Like that wasn't available in Streamlabs. I just switched back to OBS Studio and they've been killing it with their updates, so I've stuck with it and no reason to change.
Yeah, that's awesome. I usually use slobs, as they call it, Streamlabs OBS, but
also I hate that acronyms. Like, oh, I use slobs. I'm like, oh god.
I actually love it. It's so dirty and like bad. I'm like, yeah, slobs. Yeah, slob on my stream or something.
Jesus.
That's cool. Like I stream it at 720p, whatever bit rate I can, and sometimes my internet just takes a fat dump. So if it could automatically adjust to that, like it's 2019, it should do that. Yeah, that'd be nice.
And it's 2019 for now, but soon enough it will be 2020. And to start off 2020, we have AGDQ. Right now, submissions are open for that. So if you are a speedrunner, listen to this before Monday. What's the date on Monday?
September 2nd.
If you listen before that, you can submit your games to just go to gamesdonequick.com. Fill all that stuff out. And we will probably do a more thorough wrap up of all the submissions next week. For people watching in chat, you may have had a sneak peek of who our special guest that was supposed to be this week, but it's now next week. It was earlier. And
it'll be
a little inside scoop for you guys, for being cool, hanging out with us. But we'll do a more thorough wrap up next week of all the submissions because it's still ongoing. Still have another week for people to submit, and they kind of take a while to process before they go live. So it's like I submitted stuff on like Saturday or Sunday, and then it took until like today to go live. So it kind of takes a little bit to go through, but
BT.
I'm scared.
Do you want to talk about your submissions?
So I submitted Melee.
Okay, great. That's I know all about Melee. Do you want to talk about it or like?
Yeah, so I was submitting Jigglypuff any %.
Okay, I'll do co-op.
No,
I'll pretend like we'll do competitive, but like I'll kind of throw,
Okay, well, write it up in a paste bin, and we can submit that.
Okay. We'll talk about that next week.
All right, we can get into some of the submissions that are out. We can talk about that one here.
Okay, so can I say something real quick?
Sure.
I put out a tweet, and I kind of feel bad about it, and here's why. So I put out a tweet saying, man, some of the GDQ submissions so far, some of them are pretty bad. And I didn't like cite any of them, but I replied to somebody with like, hey, here's this fighting game submission that's 4 hours long. But since then, that was like a few days ago. Since then, I saw our buddy Lifelike. He was replying to a speedrun mutual of mine who was kind of talking about their GDQ submission, and they were kind of questioning how they should word their submission because they saw people making fun of GDQ submissions on Twitter. And I kind of felt bad about that because I was a person who was like, man, some of these GDQ submissions are bad because they were bad, but I wasn't talking about like any specific people except for this one fighting game submission. But Lifelike was gracious enough to reply to this speedrun mutual with some tips on submitting. So, yeah, on that note, there are submissions that I was looking at and I was like, man, these are pretty badly worded. I cannot believe they're expecting this to get into GDQ, and I tweeted about it. But in retrospect, maybe just some people don't know what makes a good GDQ submission, even though there is a guide on GDQ that talks about what makes a good submission. I read the Covert Muffins, exactly.
Depending on who you ask, I mean, you'll get a lot of the same kind of responses. It's just like talk about these certain things, but time after time, we go through submissions, and you can see it every time. There's ones that talk about like, oh, this has plenty of downtime for donations. Do not put that in your submission.
Don't say that.
That's
a
negative.
Classic.
Yeah, they even say don't put Cult Classic in the submission guideline.
If you put Cult Classic, they absolutely hate it. I can tell you that reading the submission guide and talking to the GQ fucking games committee. I'm not going to name names. Don't say that. Don't say it's a Cult Classic, and don't make that a selling point of your run. Make your submission a good speed run. Like, don't focus on all this stupid shit, right? Like, oh, there's downtime. I think that'd be good for like memes during donation reading or this. Just be like, the game is about this. The speed run is good because of this. I put timestamps in my run. Lifelike had the best reply to this speedrun mutual of mine. Explain the game, explain why the run is good, and when you submit the VOD, put timestamps. Make it as easy as possible for the games committee to look at your run and accept it.
Yep.
Don't hype it up. Don't make a Dan Salvato Yoshi's fucking story hype video that's sped up. Don't make a stupid idiot dumb thing like that saying, look how fast it is or something, and look at my hype music, and it's Yoshi's story and it's not boring even though it's really boring. Don't do that.
Yep.
They know. The people reviewing videos, they've been around since the SDA days. They're not going to put up with your dumb hype beast bullshit.
Yeah.
Just make it a good speed run. Just be like, this is a good speed run. Here it is.
Yeah.
Short, concise, to the point.
You want to talk about the positives of your run without trying to sell it to them. Yes, it is a pitch, but you just want to present, hey, here are the pros about this run. It's got fast movement. It's got cool tricks. These are some of the tricks in the run. It's like, you don't want to mention the negatives. It's got downtime. It's RNG heavy.
Yeah, chance of world record during the marathon.
If you point out the bad stuff, it's like, that's taking
not
away.
Good at all.
If you try to hype it up, one, it's filler. It's like, anyone could put that. It's like, oh, this is a fan favorite game. No one fucking cares. And it's like, also GDQ has gotten to the point where they're like, they look at that and they're like, that's now taking away from your chance. It's like, we don't want that. Like, stop putting cult classic, fan favorite, popular, everyone's classic go-to game. Just don't put this, like, so I've submitted 3 out of 5 things, which we can talk about, but it's like, because these were games that were in GDQs before, they're games that are popular enough that they know the games, they know the runs. I just went through and said, from the last time this was in this GDQ, so then they were like, all right, maybe they don't remember how many years ago it was. So it's like, here's a brief reminder. This was an SGDQ 2015. These are the things that have changed about it. It's got faster skips. We take out the RNG. We skips here.
Oh, it's so important.
And then I also said, because I submitted it as multiple categories, I was like, I'm also submitting it as these categories with these people. And like that took up the 500. It's like, here's the stuff they need to know, what's changed about it, and then also like explaining the different categories, because you only have 500. Do not fucking put a pastebin link in your submission. It's a bad idea. They're gonna throw it out. I don't know. I don't even know why it went live. I guess they're just like, fuck it. People can look at this and laugh.
They put it live because it wasn't porn.
Pretty much. It's like, if they give you 500 characters, take your 500 characters. Don't try to push it.
You don't even need 500 characters.
Really, a good submission should be under that, but it's like, if you're submitting like multiple categories and you want to explain a little bit of each, you kind of have to take up that 500 and squeeze it in. But if you're submitting any percent, if you're taking up 500 characters, that's probably a bad thing, unless you really have to explain the technicalities of your run for some reason, which isn't that great. Honestly, if they want more information about your run, they will message you. They will send you an email like, hey, can you provide more information on this? It's like, all right, here you go. Or if it gets accepted and you're like, I have some questions about, when my run can be, or because, well, not to name names, but it's like, if you're worried about that kind of stuff, that doesn't need to go into your submission. That can be something you address in an email to them. So it's like, I personally, so the 3 things I've submitted so far, I still have 2 slots that I'm going to fill up. I submitted BioShock 1, 2, and Infinite as all 3 as any percent, in case they just want one game. Then I submitted all 3 as a trilogy together, like one run, all 3 games back to back, and then as a trilogy relays.
If you get that, that'd be hilarious. That'd be a purry level of
so I actually
where you run all the Elder Scrolls or something.
So that, and the trilogy stuff is like, I've submitted that multiple times. So I've submitted the BioShock trilogy, I think, twice now, and I also submitted a Dishonored anthology once in the past, and it's kind of been a submission, like a tomato anus to submit it, the Fallout anthology, and like those have never gotten in. So I went to GDQ, like right after SGDQ, I was like, hey, if I'm submitting this, how do I need to go about submitting? Well, it was when they put out their new submission policies, like, this is the update to our submissions. If you read it and if you have questions, send it to us. And I was like, this is kind of becoming more of a thing. Like, more people are doing anthology stuff, like Coddy's done Hitman anthology, and I've seen Metal Gear anthology type runs. Like, Is that something GDQ would accept? And if so, how do you need to go about submitting it? Because clearly these runs, when they get submitted, aren't getting in. There's like, you just need to submit each game as their own game and put a category of like, this is a series run, which makes sense because technically if you're submitting, I could submit 5 anthologies and that would technically be like 20 games, but they only really want you to submit 5 games. So it kind of makes sense. It kind of sucks, but it's like, in the past, I submitted
it's like
Bioshock Trilogy
thing
as like sort of. So I submitted like Bioshock Trilogy as like 1 in the past. It's like if I had kept submitting that over and over again, they would never take it because that's not how they wanted it. But they never told anyone. They never put that in submissions, like the submission guide, which I still think is weird after I emailed them about it, and they haven't updated it. But it's just like now that I know, it's like I had that question of like I'm not entirely sure how this works. I just instead of putting it in my submission pitch, I went and asked them like, "Hey, can I do this?"
And only you knew that,
right? And it's like, I even asked about like because the trilogy relay race, the way we've submitted it, you may notice it's 4 people. It'd effectively be a 1v3, so it'd be me doing all 3 games, and then the other 3 people doing 1 game each. And I was just like, "Is this a thing because it's not even teams?" And like this, would the setup be good? And they're like, yeah, fine, just submit it. It's like a regular race. Make sure you submit each game separately. Everyone submits their own game. It's like, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't have to put that in my pitch. Like, hey, we're doing this crazy thing. I just submitted like, hey, trilogy race is the category.
That's the category.
Yep.
I don't envy GDQ Games Committee because they have to like parse the context and the situations of like so many different games and like series and like what is this community trying to do? Does this community want this to happen? Should we do this trilogy thing? Like they don't know what the fuck's going on. They're just trying to look for good runs and good situations for runs to be in their marathon. It's like the most case by case basis thing.
Yeah, speaking of that, kind of going back to like, you want to make it as easy as possible for them to look at your submission and go like, okay, we can let this in. You don't want to make it hard because if it's like, if you're putting them on a fence, like, maybe we'll think about it, more than likely, if they're given a choice between this is an easy submission to accept and an on the fence, they're going to go with the easy one because it just makes sense. It's like, if you're putting all this stuff in your submission, like, oh, there's plenty of downtime for donations and stuff. It's like, that's putting them more on the fence. Like, maybe it's not quite as good as another.
That just means it's
like
boring.
Just put the positives out there, and it's like, all right, well, I still have 200 characters to put. Maybe I should fill. It's like, if that's all you make it, as long as it needs to be, but as short as possible, right?
Brevity is the soul of wit.
You want to give them as much information as they need about the run, but keep it as short and concise as you can.
Yeah.
If you add filler, it's like, one, they're going to have to read more and they're going to hate you for it. And they're going to realize it's filler and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Put
this
like, classic
dude,
somewhere else.
So much filler. We are GDQ. Why should we put you in this marathon? So just based on our chat at the Blood Satan Beers chat and BloodThunder's Twitch channel on every Tuesday, there are a couple things I want to point out. One thing is Covert Muffin has a lot of thoughts. Maybe he should be on this podcast soon. Number 2 is Living Bin, a speedrun mutual, said that writing submissions is pretty tough as someone who's never done it before. And that is something that I like to think about sometimes because, you know, me and you, BT, we've submitted GDQs, 2 GDQs for years. Like it's always been a thing. We've been speedrunners for over.
We're classic.
We're getting to double-digit years.
You know what? Right. Next week we should have a classic podcast. The classic Blood
speedrun classic.
Just go back to when we were younger. Didn't know any better.
Oh man, we were immature and stealing strats. But yeah, Living William Ben says writing submissions is pretty tough for somebody who's never done it before. And I was looking at that. I was thinking about it, and I think yes, I think looking at GDQ submissions nowadays, even looking at the GDQ submission guide, it can get pretty confusing as to what you think the GDQ or any marathon committee would think is a good submission. And one thing I want to say, as somebody who's been around for GDQs for a very long time, is the GDQ specifically, that committee is still very much dedicated to good speedruns. And that's one thing I will credit GDQ for, is they will look at a run and they do their best to discern if it is just some streamer or some person who's just coming in saying, "Oh, it's so hype. Here's my hype video." They don't put up with that shit. Yeah. They super don't. And they will look at a run and they will read your description. And if your description is like, "Here's why the run is good. I think here's why my run is good. This movement tech is really interesting. The run is only 40 minutes long or whatever. I put timestamp, like I put all this effort. Here are the timestamps. Here's some interesting, fun parts of the run." Like, they do see that stuff. The GQ Games Committee does see that stuff. They do see that care put into your submissions, and they do not. They hate hype beasts. They absolutely hate them. I will tell you that. So as long as you are genuine and liking your run and you're excited about it, you have a good chance to getting into a GDQ.
I'd also say if your first time writing submissions and you haven't submitted at this point, just go to gamesdonequick.com, look at the submissions, scroll down like halfway through the page, find a game that you've never heard of, a runner you've never heard of, and just read the submission and just think, would I want to watch this? And
yes.
If like yes, then look at that submission and go, what about this submission makes me want to watch it? And then you can adapt that into your own pitch. Like,
critical review.
Like if you went and looked at mine, it's like, all right, he's pitching something from like how it's changed from previous GDQs. It's like, all right, maybe I need to think, has the run I've done been in a GDQ before? Maybe I just go back and say, this is how the run's updated since then and how I can update it. Yeah. There's a submission out there for Broforce, which I ran at AGDQ 2015. And someone said, this has been in a GDQ before, but it wasn't the full release of the game. This is kind of how things have updated. And it's like, I've never seen that person submit before. And he's just like, these are the things that would change. And this is how, these are some cool things about the run. I would, there's something about like, it'd be a great experience. And then like being able to represent the Brazilian community, which even that, like, I'm not super hyped on, but it's like kind of like Brazilian speedrunning community. Maybe that's something they want to kind of grow and they can latch onto. So that's like, that kind of helps out. Although I'm not a huge fan of throwing that kind of thing in there. And just like, you can keep scrolling. It's like, okay, maybe that run submission, it doesn't make me want to watch it because it sounds boring. And I look at it like, okay, what about that pitch makes me not interested in it? It's like, avoid those things. Like, it says there's plenty of downtime for donations. It's like, well, that doesn't sound interesting. Like, all right, I'm not going to include that in my pitch. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, I'll go through streams on Twitch and look at overlays if I'm doing Photoshop. I'm like, all right, that streamer kind of has a cool overlay on their panel. Maybe I'll try to do a style with those colors, or it's like I see what they're doing right and I try to copy it, emulate it, and then I see what they're doing wrong. I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to cut that stuff out and just kind of mash a whole bunch of different things together, and you can kind of play off that. And you can write it out, especially if you're doing it now and submissions are still like a week of submissions. You can write it out today, leave it, come back to it on like Friday and read it again, or send it to a friend and like, hey, or send it to us like, hey, it's my first time submitting, what do you think about my submission? It's like, if you send me one, I'll fucking read it. I'll tell you.
Send again, you can add me on Twitter, like read it too, and I'll be like, I'll tell you a candid, is that the right word? I'll tell you like straight up, if I were on this committee, if you told me that, if I would look at it.
I mean, we can't guarantee that.
I'll be like, it sounds fucking boring.
We can't guarantee that if we say the submission's good, it's going to get in. We can't say that, but we can help you. Like, maybe you change this wording a little bit or scrap that part. It's like, you don't have to take our advice, but if you want opinions, like, I'm going to submit this blind. It's like, you can ask people, you can put it out there beforehand and kind of.
BT, me, Covert Muffin, we've submitted
like anyone
seen stuff through so many GDQs. Like, we've seen what gets in and what doesn't. Like,
Yeah,
We'll toot our own horns. I'll toot horns for everyone, all of us.
I'll say
We know what
once
goes
again
on.
I can't guarantee like if you watch
No,
someone
we can't
else and it's
guarantee
like
anything.
there's someone you know, like let's say it's like, oh, I watch Trihex, like you could ask like Trihex like, hey, would you mind looking at my GDQ submission because you've been around for a while? It's like maybe he'll say yes, send it to me or something. You can ask people. It's the same with speedrunning community. It's like everyone helps out with strats and getting better. It's like, and then people when they submit are so afraid to kind of share. It's like I have to make sure this is perfect, and then I'm scared to submit. It's like just let the
Yeah,
community
don't be scared
help
to
you.
submit. Reach out to like
Yeah.
speedrunners are so excited to always help with their own speed games. If you reached out to speedrunners and said, "Could you look at my GQ submission?" No way is anyone gonna say no. I won't
Yeah.
do that. Like they will look at that and be like, "Yeah, sure, I'll help you. Here's what I think. If
Mhm.
you want to get your run into a GQ, I'll fucking help you with fucking." I'm trying to think of like Dora the Explorer's Sweet Dreams, like your submission for that.
Strawberry shortcake street.
Strawberry short.
How
Strawberry, yeah.
dare you, sir?
Uh,
Put some respect on her name.
you know, they're both little girls and cartoony things. It was honestly rude of me to confuse them. I think that's my fault. I think that's a microaggression.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, just reach out if you're nervous about your submission. Like, I make fun of people's submissions because
They're bad.
they're bad. They're just bad. If you're putting any amount of care into your submissions, you're probably not the person I'm making fun of. And you know, you can reach out. I'm gonna say you can reach out to me. BT says you can reach out to him. I'm gonna say you can reach out to any speedrunner. Just fucking ask people. Be like, do you think this is a good GDQ submission or an ESA submission? And
Maybe
we'll
if it's not
critically
us,
review you.
ask them first. Like, hey, would you be willing to look at my submission? Just don't send them your submission. Be like, what do you think of it? It's like, see if they have time.
Yeah.
But ask them first. If it's us, just fucking send it to me. I don't care. I get weird stuff anyways. But
Yeah, we could go on for days about this
we'll
shit though.
probably go more in depth in like submissions we think are cool ideas that we haven't seen or really out there submissions next week.
Next week. Yeah. When submissions are closed, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I'll update it.
Yeah. Oh, I want to read out what Caveman said because he chimed in, and Caveman's a G. As someone with writing and communications background, double-digit runs in GDQ, and who now works with GDQ, don't send me anything. At Caveman.
Yep. Call him out.
That's him, like, you know, kind of he really wants.
Yeah,
He want makes it think. He want makes you think he doesn't want to read stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
actually
reverse
super
psychology.
appreciates. Yeah, he's a psychology major, you know, and
Yeah.
he's a reverse psychology major. So send him your stuff. You're welcome.
Send him that good stuff.
Okay, man. Good luck. No, send me all your things. I'll fucking rip you a new asshole.
All right, there you go. There's some submissions I could talk about. It's like there's a lot that I would say are really bad submissions, just in what they are. But if we're gonna save the stuff for next week, we can get into it then. There's some submissions that I didn't expect to see on here that I'm kind of excited for. My own included, you know. But
yeah,
it's looking. HGDQ is usually kind of the more hyped GDQ out of the two. SGQ is
It
kind
is.
of more relaxed, but
there's one. Sorry, go ahead.
What?
I was gonna say there was one run I saw. Majora's Mask. It was kind of like the bigger news for any like run that's seen a kind of update. Majora's Mask, for those who don't know, 80%. It was found that you can do a kind of Song of Soaring manipulation where you can play the Song of Soaring 72 times in a row, and it takes you to a debug menu where you can put any item in your inventory, which includes songs or items. Apparently that has cut 80% by 15 minutes, which for Majora's Mask is a big deal. That was submitted to HDQ. Despite sounding pretty fucking boring to watch, I think it's actually like super interesting and like pretty big breakthrough. I think it should be in That was one of the runs that stood out for me for AGDQ. I was like, I think this should be in the marathon because it is a very popular game. It's a big discovery for speedrunning. Um, I think it should. Some people are saying it shouldn't be in because it's maybe not the most entertaining. I haven't watched it myself,
I think
but I
with
was
the
like,
proper
that should be
commentary,
fucking in.
I mean,
With the proper commentary, it could be fun playing the goddamn Song of Soaring.
that's kind of the band-aid for any run. It's like, well, it's not the most entertaining, but with the proper commentary. But something like that, it's a well-known game. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is huge. People will watch it, especially if they see that there's a new trick that saves 15 minutes using a debug menu. If you can explain that in detail and not really have downtime, I don't see a reason.
Yeah.
Especially when they're going to let in hours and hours of Zelda anyways, because it's GDQ and
Majora's Mask is under an hour.
Yeah, it's like
you could make fun out of it.
Bonus exhibition,
like
a bonus game. More than likely, that's where it would end up. Like, hey, if you want to see this crazy debug menu glitch, $200,000, we'll do it.
That bonus game towards the end of the marathon, Majora's Mask, and like towards the end of the marathon, you have people playing the Song of Soaring for like. Again, I haven't watched the run, so I don't know how long it is. But like, if you have like towards the end of the marathon and people are playing Song of Soaring for like 20 minutes straight, that's like prime donation time. Like they'll make something funny out of it, and it will turn into like, oh, we made $1 million playing a Song of Soaring.
They should actually just have
something stupid
playing an ocarina 63 times.
Something dumb like that will happen, and it'll make a lot of money for fucking charity, and that's the way it'll go.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we'll cover all
this
that
is a long podcast
in detail next week. I was gonna say it's probably about time we wrapped it. We got through
so bad.
A lot of things. So what are you doing besides ping over this next week, Saint?
I'm peeing all week. No, I'm moving and getting my friend Pedro submission in. It's gonna be the best submission of all time.
It's gonna be straight to a paste bin.
Yeah, it'll just be a link to a paste bin. It'll be the meta, but. I'll submit my friend Pedro and maybe like a couple other runs, just like random other stuff, just to throw in there because I can.
Majora's Mask.
Yeah, Majora's Mask. I've been a big runner and proprietor of that. I don't know what that word means. What are you running, BT? Or what are you doing the next week?
So it's finishing out my other 2 submissions. I think I'm going to leave a 5th spot open and hope that a game comes out. Maybe Blair Witch will be an interesting enough run. It's like I'm willing to give it a chance.
Play the old Blair Witch games. There's 3 of them. They're terrible.
Maybe it's like normally I just straight up fill my 5 submission slots with things I would like to run in. It's like I could fill that with like something like Prey 2006, which I'd love to get in, or one of my other games that I could choose from.
Yes,
like Appslav, but it's like I'm not 100% sure, and more than likely, if I get something in, I would want it to be one of, if not all of the Bioshocks. So it's like I don't want to pad that with more like here's another hour and a half long FPS game. It's like that's not really gonna get in. So maybe if I wait something short and like platforming will show up, maybe I'll submit my friend Pedro.
Oh my god,
get record within a week.
No, please don't.
But
it's my only ticket to get my registration fee.
For the most part, it's like right now Appslav is kind of some heated competition, trading record back and forth. Borsos. He stepped up. We've lowered.
He, submitting?
No, I don't think so.
He's European. That's right.
As far as I know, he's not submitting. So maybe SGDQ it'll be featured. But we found more strats. Got some stuff to work. There's a trick that requires you to drop your frame rate. It's always fun. I have to drop my frame rate to 20 FPS mid-run using DxTory. I had to reinstall DxTory.
DxTory, the classic.
Yeah. They actually do have ways to limit your frame rate in-game, but depending on your setup, the lowest it goes down is to 24. So it's like 60. It's like unlimited, 144, 120, 60, 30, and then 24. I think Borso said he can get it at 30 FPS using the end-game stuff, but for me, I have to use DxTory to get down to 20 FPS for it to work. You
try holding print screen down, Mel.
You have to fall through a ceiling before it loads in, because otherwise you die. So you fall down.
Oh, good.
And then because the loading's tied to FPS, you like slow down your FPS. drop through the floor, teleport away, and then you crank your FPS up so that you can run at normal speeds, which is great.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, try to get a better time than that. It's super frustrating because nothing in that game is particularly hard to do, but one mistake is just like minutes and minutes and minutes lost. It's so brutal, and that it's actually really cool if anyone's looking to pick up that game. We have a speedrunning community Discord now, which we've set up. And out of the 12 people in that Discord, 4 of them are developers of the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So 1/3 of our Discord server are the devs. So it's like if we're finding something or we have like questions like, hey, do you know like how are the loads, like the addresses for the loads handled and all this stuff? It's like we can just ask them. We just like, is this something, or if we have like something about the skips, like maybe they're not going to tell us or they can't, like, because we've requested like, hey, could you put a limit for 20 FPS in the game? And they're like, we can't technically do that, or like FOV sliders and stuff. It's like, can't technically do that, but you know, we can still ask and see if maybe stuff like that's possible. But like, they're super cool with it. You know, they're congratulating people when they get better times and like super excited for stuff. And
amazing.
It's like, if you're looking to get in a run with community, like with a good community and developers helping
interaction.
Like, yeah. Like it's a really good first speed run too, because it's not, like I said, it's not technically hard.
Refreshing, actually.
Yeah. It's super cool. So it's like grinding that out. Maybe some more rage too if I can get past the keybinds, and then just working on small steps.
ESDF runner, man.
Yeah, I don't know when that video is going to be out. I'm trying my best to work on it, but every time I like go to work on it, I'm like, oh, there's so much more I have to add to this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to make it big, though, as long as it needs to be, but as concise as possible. And it's like, that's every time I look at them, it's like, I'm gonna have to extend this thing so much, because I originally it was just gonna be about my setup, like what I change and everything, and kind of the reasons. But then I discovered more of the history behind it and kind of how
bigger thing.
So I want to make it more like, all right, well, here's kind of the reasoning behind how it originally came to be WSD and all this stuff. So I'll have updates along the way, but hopefully sometime soon. But we can talk about that all next week. Thank you guys for watching it this week. Episode 45 of Blood, Saint, and Beers. If you want to watch any of your previous stuff or get caught up, you can check out us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, anywhere where RSS feeds are available. You can also check us out on YouTube if you want to watch the video version, or go to our website, bloodsaintandbeers.com. They're all uploaded there same day. So you can find audio versions, video versions, all that good stuff. You can also follow us on Twitter, Blood Saint Beers. Want to send us your submissions? You know, we can look at them there.
Discord or whatever. Critique your submissions.
Yeah,
critique you. I'll do it.
Well, I was gonna say we could do it next week on the podcast, but it'd be too late for that. But we'll have a special guest next week, hopefully.
Definitely, maybe.
Yeah. Kind of go over all the GDQ submissions and talk about that, and then see how WoW Classic stands up against the test of time.
Yes, I'll report.
We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.